we're live. Take two.
mAng and Neads Show. Sonic Garden Live. What is up? How you doing today? We got music.
All right, here we are. Sonic Gardens Radio, mAng and Neads Show.
mAng and Neads.
We're taking a restart on this one.
We do what we
because we did something happened where we got cut off immediately. I think it was because the intro song we played may have been a cover song.
Unbelievable.
But hey, that's what happens. So luckily we caught that early, opposed to in the past where we didn't catch those things early and we ended up wasting our session.
A whole sesh.
So anyway,
well,
here we are. We're back. Sonic Gardens Radio, mAng and Neads Show, looking to get 1,000 subscribers. So if anybody out there can give us a little click and like and subscribe, that would be great. You know, add a comment on here. Tell us, tell us what you think. You know, you can also call in at our number 607-373-HEAT. HEAT 4328.
Comment and ask a question. Tell us something. Tell us what to check out.
We were thinking we needed to run some kind of poll on what you guys thought about different things. Maybe get a little participation out there.
Yeah.
So I guess we could run that poll. Is who's all about full lockdown? Who's doing the thinks it's need to go out there and get our antibodies built up.
Ange likes polls, so we'll take a poll. Shit. Well then. How's it going in there today?
Pretty good. I have a little issue here on my green screen.
Well, that's unfortunate. He's starting to show signs.
No, I'm okay.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. Whatever. We'll see. I've been pretty quarantined for the most part. But, man, when you really try to think about not touching stuff or not touching your face and not touching
your balls and then your face.
Anything, yeah.
I try not to do that.
I try not to do that on a regular.
But it happens.
You know.
Hey, man. Sometimes you got to go balls to face.
So let's go back to these numbers.
We're going to go to the numbers now.
World cases.
We have a lot in the world.
We are looking at 1,414,736 coronavirus cases. Refresh it?
Yeah.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Do a refresh.
Oh, man.
Went up 2,000.
Yes, it did.
Unbelievable.
Okay, 1,416,399 cases, 81,325 deaths, and 301,000 people have recovered, and there are over 1 million cases unresolved currently.
How do they do that? I mean,
I noticed this graph. So I just pulled up the whole statistics of like closed to open death rate, and there was in February the death rate was actually 41.8. Remember we were talking about this 21%?
Yeah.
So it was actually higher in February worldwide.
Oh.
And as the cases have obviously increased, the death rate's gone down, but the problem is the cases are unresolved. So like this number, you're not seeing it, but basically it like starts up high in February and it kind of drops down.
Right.
And it kind of rides, just right along the lower level, drops from 40%, and now it's been riding at that. It was at 10 all the way down to 10, 11. Now it's kind of climbed to that 21. And it's right on that border where it's like, it's a 21.14, so it's gonna like probably climb 22. But I guess, is that line going to invert up, or is it going to just ride straight out for like the next, 3 months or 6 months? Like, when is this going to end? So that's like the big
Well, we don't know.
question for me. And then recovery rate was 58%. So it was like a 50, basically about a 50-50 chance. And now that's gone up to, and then back, starting to go back down. But yeah, 79% chance you're going to survive.
So you got a pretty good chance. If you get it, you'll survive.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
But they said it goes for the weak people.
It's also like
weak
we said,
immune system.
Yeah, it's also like we said with even if this deal works, it's then everybody's just gonna say, "Yep, see, told you it was a hoax." It's like everything's covered,
Well,
and they're like, "See, there wasn't nearly enough people," but yeah.
Tell that to the 12,474 people
who lost
a family member.
Family members, which stretches exactly.
So
that's just in the USA alone.
Right.
So yeah, 81,000 total deaths, 70,000 new cases worldwide. 23,000 of those right in the good old United States. Spain is number 2, but not even.
They got deaths piling up,
but less than half the cases that we do. Is my point.
But they have only tested 355,000 people.
It should tell you what I guess you kind of per million.
Well, yeah, 297 people to a million die. Compared to our 38. And that's over.
See how things like, man, these
Italy's
numbers.
283 to a million.
So
for every million people, 283 of them are fucking dying.
Yeah.
So that's in Italy.
And we're up to I don't remember what we saw yesterday on the test per million, but
imagine if
they're 200,000 last night. Increase that a little bit.
So imagine if Spain tested 2 million people. How many people they'd have that.
Right.
So.
And the whole point is that if they have it, then they're passing it on, and then it's passing on to those weaker immune systems and killing off everybody. So it's like, yeah, man, so crazy.
If you don't know, it's the old thing, like,
So what were those numbers you were saying? Because you said,
what was I saying?
Like local. You said that some things that had happened.
Stuff. Shenango?
Yeah, like as far as Shenango.
We got a beautiful county.
Yeah.
51 people have tested positive so far. This is of last night, so it might have changed today.
Yeah, but how this is a full. Where'd you get it?
What are you asking me?
Oh yeah, I'm yawning.
Tell me what you're asking.
It's a full is this all the tests given? You're gonna tell me how many tests they've given in our county. Okay.
As of last night.
Okay, good enough.
They have not given me the update for today.
No.
So
you might need to call them up. Tell them we need to update our people.
Do that, actually, I could probably do that. So basically, they've tested 254 people. 51 have tested positive. So basically, that's 20.1% of positive results. Okay.
Right.
You got that?
Yeah.
And yesterday they had tested 42 people, and out of that and yesterday they had 5 new cases. So, but like I said, 51 in our little county are positive. So now they got them off the streets, so they're not passing it around. And obviously the 200, so 51 out of the 254. So the other ones didn't have it, but they got tested. They needed it. They had some other things going on. So Even in town here, at one of the like retirement home things. I don't know if it's called a nursing home quite or whatnot, but they
An elderly
yeah, older
facility,
people. Yeah, like
like
where
a
you would put like
assisted living, or
yeah, like
just
that.
kind of group living.
Well, yeah, like older people, definitely older people, like the president's age and all them guys that are running
That
for
are
president.
running for president.
Yeah, like their age. Seriously, like all 70s or late 60s. But anyways, 4 of them tested positive, and then the 14 they got quarantined over there. So that's right in the little town of Norwich. That's Shenango County, obviously we live in, but
Oh wow.
that's in the little town of Norwich over here. So that's just news you can get if you go looking for it. So there's always that. On a positive note.
On a positive note.
So what else we got?
We
got anything?
So I just also wanted to point out that
positive?
Well, that France had 11,000 new cases today, and they are coming in hot, like to catch up with.
Who are they gonna catch?
Italy.
Oh. But again,
Catch up with Italy.
But again, they've only tested 224,000 people. Imagine if they started testing more. Do you? Or no, you don't imagine it.
No, I mean, I don't
like,
know what the
like
numbers
they were saying,
would be higher.
Right.
Test more, numbers go up.
The more you see, yes and no. If you wait and test, then yes, your numbers are going to go up because people that have it don't know they have it and they're spreading it. So, like, it's the same thing they did here, man. They wait and can't test people, and you don't have them locked down. Then yes, it's going to happen that way. But if you lock everybody down and because you can't test them yet, and you don't have the means to test them, so you lock them down until you do, and then start testing, like that's going to stop the spread. It's just common sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
It really is. So then, like when you do the mass testing, you know what I mean? Tons of people might not have it because they haven't been able to go anywhere to get it if they have it, or they haven't been able to go around and pass it around if they didn't know they had it. So, because you know just as well as I do, people that are sick, that don't stop them from doing shit, man. Especially if they don't, you know what I mean? If they have to work and they're worried about next paycheck, they're gonna go to fucking work unless they're like really seriously ill, or if they test for this and they're positive, then they'll get told they have to stay home.
Right.
So it's just like for every guy that's like you or me that is all worried about and you know what I mean, not giving it to our parents or not getting it in the first place and taking precautions, there's 20 or 30 people that don't give a flying and need to go to work and are too tough, or the way they brought themselves up or were brought up, a little sickness isn't going to slow them down. But that's the problem with like the asymptomatic and all that. Like you might feel a little run down, but you don't show all the symptoms of it, but you still have it, and then you're passing it to people that might not have a good immune system like you do, or
right.
So, yeah, people are going to do what they want to do anyways. So
we got to we just got to keep letting everybody know how important it is, I guess, till we get some kind of answers.
We're going to get answers. That our president, we're going to get let back out into the abyss here.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end of the month.
I had a pretty good
let me hear it.
Video.
Oh.
This is
let's see if we can stay on.
So you know that one with the Navy ship, the dude that was just I can't believe it. I just
What'd you do now?
Just shut down.
What?
My phone died.
Oh.
So we'll have to skip that.
All right. What were you going to tell us, though? You can't leave them hanging. You got to at least tell them about it.
Yeah. It was just can't remember his name, but the guy that
I can't say it either.
The Navy captain that just got let go, fired. Well, then like the other dude that just got assigned the position. Shit, man. It's easier if I had it to go off of. He the guy that just what was the guy that got basically the Navy dude that got fired for just doing something crazy?
You wrote the letter and telling him about.
No, the one
Not
like
him?
a few months back of the guy that like did something and all his people with him were like, yeah, dude, that guy was crazy. He's like looking to, violent. He like beat somebody up or something, and then Trump, there was a big controversy that he didn't do anything wrong, and that's the kind of guy we need,
Oh.
And then this dude, again,
Yeah, I don't know what you're
talking on my ass.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. One thing I noticed
Okay.
last night was the COVID Act Now .org website updated their New York estimations and predictions. So I'm gonna pull that one up.
What is it?
Remember that COVID Act Now .org that we started in it gave that the arcs based on the 4 different means of. So the cool thing, well, nothing cool about it, but I noticed they redefined the self-quarantine. And let me pull it up.
Go ahead, Ange. Well, how's it look? mAng and Neads Show.
Sonic Gardens Radio. Live. Daily.
Live.
What'd you say? Maybe next week? Did you say
Live.
we were going to have to go to a little...
We're going to go starting
later?
Saturday. We're going to start a little later.
Okay.
Maybe like dinner hour.
Ooh, they actually got this map broke down even more now.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
All right, let me bring this up in. All right, this is...
Wow.
This one is covidactnow.org.
Oh, boy.
Okay, and you go to this one, covidactnow.org. Don't be fooled by some other one. But then you can go to your state, and you click on the state, and it gives you what needs to be done. Oh, shit. They, changed this, dude.
What?
This changed from yesterday, man.
What do you mean? You were looking at it yesterday?
Last night. It, they eliminated, the best-case scenarios were, they're out. There is none anymore.
Now, what are you looking at? The map with all the little colors on it?
So this one is, check it out, COVID Act Now.
I'm there.
The map with all the colors,
all
and then
right.
select New York. Okay? And,
I have done that.
okay, you'll see that today
I have a little hump
is
here.
the vertical black line. And you can see a real up-close rise in the beds. And
So
they're saying on April 9th is when it's going to reach capacity in New York State.
Oh, so they were wrong then, right, about the capacity?
What do you mean?
Because there was...
No, this is
they were the 5th, right?
this
or were
was
they 8th?
This was updated April 6th.
Yeah, but I'm saying, when we looked at it before, it was April 5th, wasn't it?
I thought it was the 8th, 5th, 6th, something like that. But that was
I'll give you that.
That was based on all the different scenarios. So you remember I told you there were the 4 things, which were limited action.
Right.
Okay, and then there was 3 months of stay-at-home lax. That's how they put it. And then 3 months of stay-at-home strict. Okay, so just the impact based on this is the difference of max hospitalizations at 91,000 in mid-May, or the lax version, which we're doing, which puts it at 137 hospitalizations by May 10th.
Oh, May 10th.
So this is the same date, though. So you're talking, 40, 50,000 hospitalizations saved by dragging it out.
Right. So they got their deaths down.
Yeah, so now
158.
So now this is basically, they've left it down to we got 2 options now. stay at home or stay at home strict or stay at home lax.
Right.
And right now, the majority of the people are living lax. And then there's some of us that are like strict. I guess I'd call myself pretty strict.
Or limited action. You might be on the lax. I'm probably on the.
How strict is strict? You know, like it all comes down to
They don't
connection.
go to the fucking grocery store.
Yeah, like nobody goes to the grocery store.
Yeah, so we're lax.
But then
we
we
would have to say we're lax.
We have to say we're lax. So
we've been to the grocery store.
So that's what they're basically saying. All the other predictions, that's all long gone. But they're not changing their tune.
Are you limited action?
So now they're down to limited action.
Limited.
Is deaths is going to be around 219,000. And then the 3 months of stay-at-home lax is going to kill 158,000 people.
So that's just is this?
And 3 months stay-at-home strict is going to limit it to 60%. So they don't even have.
So let me ask you.
They don't even have like a best-case scenario of like 20% infected now. It's
so
60.
Is this just for New York State though?
Yes.
So 158,000 just in New York State will die.
That's what they're saying from lax stay-at-home.
So this is not the country, though.
No.
So then there's going to be way more death and carnage.
That's what the predictions have been.
All right, and this is why you this is why you were part of the problem, right?
This was when I sounded this, when I put this out there.
You were part of the problem.
They were like, oh, you know, so they're trying to. You can't. I mean, whatever. This is.
Well, in all fairness,
let's go to the main.
The people that attacked you voted for Trump. I mean, I don't know why that. It does have stuff to do with it though,
it's because his wish-washy thing has made him anybody that says, you know, tries to scare anybody becomes, or tries to like.
You weren't trying to scare anybody.
Trying to post awareness.
Yeah.
They treat you like you're trying to scare people and just being like part of, you know, like it is part of some kind of bigger plot.
Well, you're just not trying to be part of the problem, like going out and fucking hugging, you know what I mean, or high-fiving people. You were just putting that if we don't fuck around, if we don't go out and shake hands, and we limit, and we're 6 feet apart, and we try to travel as little as possible, try to go to grocery store as little as possible, like once a week, or not even.
Well, even
like that's what you know what I mean. That's what you were saying, and to them, we're trying to scare them, or you're trying to scare, or whoever. You know what I mean? That's not what it is, though. It's just like another thing out there that, like, if you fuck around, you might die or kill your fucking family member. If you get this, is what it comes down to. Threw that out the fucking window. I wasn't gonna swear, but
it's true.
So
I was just wanted to point out that this the COVID Act now, you know, is it's one of these models that the president and everybody's been talking about. And
with their charts and graphs.
Yeah, their charts and graphs are looking at the same things, and there's different ones, but none of them paint a good picture when you really look at what it is, you know.
What do these comments say down here? Have you read any of the comments?
In what?
Below, like if you go back to the whole state or the whole country map, have you read any of the?
Oh, like the
like below, if you go like below the map.
For country or world? Because
our country, on the COVID Act now.
Oh, okay.
If you see the country, you go back out of New York and you see our whole country, the United States.
Yeah.
And then you go below it and you see like endorsement or you know.
Right.
Doctors.
Yeah.
Like, have you read any of those?
Of what they say?
Yeah, like what they. Because they.
Well, this is just identifying
who people. They are, right? But these are the people that made it, though, right?
These are the people.
My point being is they're all doctors,
right?
They endorse my point, though. Right. They're all medical doctors.
Yeah, this isn't just some like scare group,
right? And guess what?
This people that are concerned.
This is a virus, and when you get it, you go see a doctor. And that's what these are right here. Not just some dude that somebody hired. So you can read the they have a little quote there like at the top about the projection.
Yeah, well, no projection is perfect. We endorse this tool and model as a valid and important way to frame the decisions political leaders must make now.
Some of them are, and some of them aren't.
And so,
So South Dakota, North Dakota, Utah, Wyoming.
see, and there's some red
Who else?
spots, which are,
Who else?
you know,
There's
they're
another
saying
one
it's
right there
bad.
too, isn't there?
Montana's. Montana was the guy on the phone with Trump, though, telling him that he was struggling to get ventilators, and
Yeah, he locked her down.
Trump was saying
he locked down, but below him didn't. Wyoming didn't, and beside him didn't.
Idaho.
No, below him would be Wyoming.
And then you said
To
beside
the
him,
side is
North Dakota.
yeah, and then
See, North Dakota's full of hot red.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's like they talked about with There's that one where they're like, it says you know, when some states do and some states don't.
See,
it's
their
like a
their
P.
hospital overload, like because they're gonna keep doing what they're doing. Their hospital overload is like June 12th. They're not locked down. They're not doing much.
You see what I'm saying? How this is gonna last a long time.
Oh, it
And
definitely is.
And how can travel all of a sudden start to exist without
Think about
shutting down our borders to like New York?
Think about all the
we've got
truck
it.
drivers that go to these states that aren't locked down that are going to keep doing this and keep getting cases. It seems like it'll just spread back and get people that haven't got it yet.
Yeah.
And then it's, you know what I mean? For
quite a long time.
Say it gets 500,000 people now and we get it under control in New York. You know what I mean? What happens when the next few people get it and start spreading it around? What's it going to happen then? Are we going to lock down like this every time? And if that's the case, it's going to go on for a while, like I was saying yesterday.
Right.
Or if they're like, only 100,000 people died, fucking, we'll be okay. But it's not okay though. So there you have it.
It's not okay. Here we are, Sonic Gardens Radio, mAng and Neads Show, trying to get 1,000 subscribers. If anybody out there is listening and hasn't subscribed, please do
it.
We appreciate it.
Do it now.
Do it. And as long as we got internet and electricity, then we'll be bringing this show to you guys daily.
Would you like to know the questions that
What's that?
They wouldn't. Trump wouldn't let Fauci answer.
Yeah, I'd like to hear
questions.
that because I
Want me
remember
to
what
play it?
that was. It was about the
Do you need the video? Do you want to play it?
hydrochloroquine,
Or
right?
do you want me to play it?
No, you go ahead. I don't have anything.
I'm gonna go ahead and play it. You don't need to see this to hear it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, here we go. Feel free to comment or interrupt, whatever. Listen to this. Because I can pause at any time.
Ignoring the advice of medical experts, President Trump is now promoting the use of an anti-malarial drug that isn't proven to treat coronavirus yet.
I'm not a doctor, but I have common sense.
Actual doctors are hedging their bets, warning there's no medical proof that hydroxychloroquine will work and cautioning that it's still being tested. Wouldn't know that from listening to the president.
And there are signs that it works on this, some very strong signs.
Experts say they have concerns about the well-known side effects of the drug, including fatal heart problems.
Great.
You could lose your life. It's unproven.
Last week, the Food and Drug Administration granted emergency approval for the White House's plan to distribute millions of doses to coronavirus patients, though no substantive trials have been completed yet.
But we don't have time to go and say, gee, let's take a couple of years and test it out. And let's go and test with the test tubes and the laboratories.
At the briefing yesterday, Trump
Oh,
was
really?
next to Dr. Anthony Fauci, the country's top infectious disease expert. But when a CNN reporter asked Dr. Fauci for his opinion on the drug, it was Trump who answered instead.
And what is the medical
Answer that
evidence?
question?
Yeah.
Maybe
15.
15 times.
Trump's push for the drug has caused tensions inside the White House and even led to a heated disagreement between Dr. Fauci and Trump's top trade advisor, who doesn't have a medical degree.
My qualifications in terms of looking at the
This
science
guy, dude.
is that I'm a social scientist. I have a PhD.
Peter Navarro brought a stack of
Social
papers to a White House
science.
Situation
He
Room
is
meeting
a
that he said
shiesty
was
son
proof
of a
the drug
bitch.
has worked.
Trump's
Fauci
favorites.
pushed back, arguing that any decisions should be based on actual data.
2 words for you: second opinion.
Trump left that meeting
That's what he's
and
saying
headed
to
straight for
Fauci.
the briefing room.
Yeah.
where
Second
he told
opinion.
reporters this.
I may take it. Okay? I may take it. And
Do
I'll
it.
have to ask my doctors about that, but I may take it.
They're gonna let you.
He's gonna just take it.
Yeah.
So Jake
For the
not
fun
only
of
said
it.
he would consult with his doctors, something that people
this
do
is
not think is
Caitlin
likely
Collins,
that he's actually
reporting,
going to take that
just so you
drug,
know.
but he also told Americans to consult with their own
Oh, yeah,
doctors
we
before they
know.
made any steps with that to talk about the
Jesus.
drug that he has repeatedly and continually pushed from the White House briefing room.
All right, the national.
So there's
There's
some
that.
of that. Yeah, we got more, but we cut her off.
Cut off.
We could listen to her.
No, I mean that's the stuff. Mine was the okay.
So what are you
I got,
talking about?
I got the information now that I can like talk about it. So the acting Navy Secretary Thomas
Oh, now we're
Mobley,
onto this. I thought you were going to tell me about
speaking to the USS Theodore Roosevelt crew, and I think this is an audio anyway. So this was like a leaked audio.
Oh, I want you to tell me about the drugs.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, you do. You brought it up to me earlier about Trump's got some.
Oh, I did hear. I mean, like we said, we got to check on the story, but I heard that he had stock interest in that
chloroquine.
hydrochloroquine.
Ooh.
So
All
I don't
right.
know.
Tell me about the ship guy then.
Okay, man. All right, let's see if I can get this up here.
Let's hear it.
All right, so
Uh-oh.
ignoring the situation here from the very beginning. I reached out to your CO through my chief of staff very, very early on in this crisis. On Sunday, I told him that I wanted to come out to the ship and if it would be okay or if it would be too disruptive. I told him that because I wanted to be able to help if there was anything else he needed as this massive effort was underway to get you guys healthy and clean and safe. He waved me off. He said he felt like things were under control. No one at my level has been ignoring the situation here from the very beginning. I reached out to your CO through my chief of staff very, very early on in this crisis. On Sunday, I told him that I wanted to come out to the ship and if it would be okay or if it would be too disruptive. I told him that because I wanted to be able to help if there was anything else he needed as this massive effort was underway to get you guys healthy and clean and safe. He waved me off. He said he felt like things were under control. He had been concerned a day or so before that things weren't moving quickly, but things, he still wanted to get more beds, but he didn't think it was necessary. He also talked to my chief of staff and emailed back and forth with him. On Sunday night, he sent that email. And that email went out to a broad audience of people. I know that I mentioned that it was over 20. We believe it was forwarded to even far more than that. And immediately it was picked up by the San Francisco Chronicle, which published sensitive information about the material condition of a naval warship. If he didn't think, it was my opinion, that if he didn't think that information was going to get out into the public in this information age that we live in, then he was A, too naive or too stupid to be the commanding officer of a ship like this. The alternate is that he did it on purpose. And that's a serious violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which you are all familiar with. And I can tell you one other thing. Because he did that, he put it in the public forum, and it's now become a big controversy in Washington, D.C. and across the country about a martyr CO who wasn't getting the help he needed and therefore had to go through the chain of command, a chain of command which includes the media. And I'm going to tell you something, all of you.
Tell me.
There is never a situation where you should consider the media a part of your chain of command. You can jump the chain of command if you want, and take the consequences. You can disobey the chain of command and take the consequences. But there is no situation where you go to the media, because the media has an agenda. And the agenda that they have depends on which side of the political aisle they sit. One of the things about his email that bothered me the most was saying that we're not at war. Well, we're not technically at war. But let me tell you something. The only reason we're dealing with this right now is because a big authoritarian regime called China was not forthcoming about what was happening with this virus. And they put the world at risk to protect themselves. Crew of the Teddy Roosevelt, you are under no obligation to love your leadership, only to respect it. You are under no obligation to like your job, only to do it. You are under no obligation to expect anything from your leaders other than that they will treat you fairly and put the mission of the ship first, because it is the mission of the ship that matters. You all know this, but in my view, your captain lost sight of this, and he compromised critical information about your status intentionally to draw greater attention to your situation. This is Trump's.
Yeah, man.
I don't know anything about any of that.
You don't know what he was saying there?
I mean,
Did you hear when he said that guy when they said something about him? They're talking about the guy that just got fired. Okay,
they are? I thought you said they weren't. They're talking about the guy that
the guy that was talking is Trump's acting Navy guy.
All right.
That was just appointed because of his stance on the situation with the other Navy guy a couple months back that got fired.
But not the guy that got fired the other day.
No. The guy that that's who he was talking about that got fired the other day was their captain of that ship. And when he said when that guy criticized him, you hear the one guy yell out, or like people said, "What the fuck? You just said that guy was not like that he broke protocol, did the wrong thing, etc." But you see, the thing is right at the end he took the jab at China, an authoritarian regime that was not honest with the people about what was going on. Meanwhile, they just fired this guy because he was trying to let the public know what was going on.
Right.
So they can criticize China, but they can't criticize the fact that Trump is hiding also, and people are trying to hide this bad news, obviously, that that this ship has cases and that they're not safe.
The ship has sailed. Yeah.
And that's why I think everybody's
cases.
And this guy, when this guy got fired, he got that whole crew gave him standing ovation for what he did.
Right.
And then you got this guy coming out, to give him this little pep talk lecture. I'm the boss, whatever he wants to do. You're all soldiers, so deal with it.
Trump said he's going to look at it, look into it now. He says, from what I hear. And then they got people apologize. Something's going on, because then they had people apologizing to that sailor, or not the sailor, but the captain.
Yeah.
They had people apologizing to him, like the people that fired him, like they did it on the news or whatever. I saw that. And then Trump said yesterday that he's going to look into it, because both sides seem like they're pretty good guys. But
this guy.
So he's walking back what he said the other day about that he thought it was a good idea that they fired him. Because he's obviously heard more. So he said yesterday he's going to check it all out.
Yeah, listen, this is a pretty good description of it.
I love it.
This is Trump's acting Navy Secretary Thomas Modly smearing the former captain of the very ship he's standing on, the USS Theodore Roosevelt, to his own former crew. A crew, mind you, that gave him an ovation that went viral across social media when he was fired.
What's his name? Trump's a pussy?
Captain, whatever his name is. But just that's like part of the point. That was, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, he's gonna look at it, right? He's gonna take a look at that. That what the guy did was right, or was it wrong? Was it right or was it wrong? I guess he went to the.
Well,
He sent a message to a bunch of people, including the San Francisco Chronicle. So he let it out of the bag before somebody else wanted
well, they
to.
wouldn't let it. They wouldn't do anything. He talked to the people, but they wouldn't do anything. So then he wrote some letter.
Yeah, and that's what the one Trump was saying. It was inappropriate. Who does that? Because we were saying it just the other day. And we're like, that's the way you would do something, is a proper letter. You don't just go in like
right, but he
ranting.
did it. He didn't do the chain of command thing, which is right. So that's why they had the right to do that. But I think there's more to it, like that he talked to his higher ups and they wouldn't do anything. So then all he was forced.
Of course, he was back against the
He was
wall.
forced to have to write another letter to somebody that fucking would let it out and do something about it.
Yeah, which
Dude, there's 150.
goes right back to what I said. That's whistleblower. So is he a rat or is he a whistleblower?
Well, I mean, he's trying to save people, so I wouldn't say he's a rat then.
Well, then, right. Like I said, it's not about whether or not it's right or wrong. Like in ratting on somebody that's the normal sense of the word is more, like I said, it's to get yourself out of something or,
people. He was going to get some people out of it. He wanted to get them off the ship.
Exactly. So
whistleblower.
whistleblower.
So the other people didn't.
So he should be protected, and that would make us different than authoritarian regimes.
He lost his job.
Like China and North Korea and Russia.
Now he's without his captainship.
And those people, the troops seemed a little bit, the sailors, they weren't happy about that.
Well, they liked him.
They liked their captain.
And then he wasn't. Maybe they'll throw the other guy overboard. Numbers.
Well, the other guy is the big, he's Washington, D.C., so he's not.
He don't go on the ship?
He wasn't the guy. He was on the ship, but he's not taking over the ship. They're going to give that to another captain.
Captain. Yeah. You're giving that to the old captain.
Remember, did you ever watch that, the World War, right? World War, or Civil War oversimplified or something?
I believe I did.
And it was about all the, it broke down some of the generals involved in, the Civil War and and the losers and the drunks and the cowards or whatever,
Right. And the guys who got lucky.
Yeah, it was an interesting run, though. That was another Salmonella, right? Salmonella. Salmonella.com. I don't know, or something. He's on YouTube, but he's got some cool stuff if you're into history. Salmonella.
Yeah. Salmonella. He likes it.
Interesting breakdowns. Comedy in there. Pretty good comedy.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty funny. Real funny.
Yes, sir.
Real funny.
So what else we got? What's the rest of the updates? We got anybody calling in here? 607-373.
No one has called.
4328. Either that or the... Should be. Hey now.
No one called?
I wanted to play
All right.
something, but I think I was going to have a problem with the video.
Oh.
So I'm just going to play the tune.
What is it?
Our friend Nate Cole
The great
wrote
Nate.
a song about the quarantine, man.
Really?
Yeah, and it
He
was
penned
cool.
it?
A video and everything.
He
Like
penned it himself? Oh, you
it
can't
was
play
really
it, though?
cool, but I can't get the video up, but I can definitely get
I believe.
the audio. And I sent him a message, asked him if you mind if I played it.
What'd he say?
He said, "No problem, senor."
You're going to get copy wrote.
I'm gonna wrote it.
Wrote
All right,
it.
let's see if I can find this thing.
A lot going on in there.
What you got?
What you got?
What do I got?
Yeah.
What do you got?
You got
No, man. What do you got?
fucking water and coffee.
Here it is. Songs.
All right. What's it called? 2 bungs, 1 tongue.
Here we go. Song's called Remedy.
Oh.
Let's see if I can pull it in.
Sitting here, wondering, will we ever get out of our house? Wish you could come over and stay and snuggle with me. All I care about right now is how you're not here with me. Loneliness is overwhelming. You could be my remedy. Movies and games, comforting, distractions only for now. Sit down, washing hands, not enough. Don't know what else to do. All I care about right now is how you're not here with me. Loneliness is overwhelming. You could be my remedy. All this fear hovering, not knowing, killing me now. Slow down, my blankets are now covering, keeping everything out. All I care about right now is how you're not here with me. Loneliness is overwhelming. You could be my remedy. So sincere, struggling, FaceTime and family and friends. Calm down, losing it, I'm panicking. It's taking over me now. All I care about right now is how you're not here with me. Loneliness is overwhelming. You could be my remedy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Back in the hot seat, Mr. Joshua Needham.
That was loud. I had to 1 ear it.
1 ear.
Yeah, it was
That was from
cranking in my ears. I
that
don't
was
know
from
about yours.
yeah. Everybody's ears are set up a little different.
Whew.
I might have had you turned up a little higher.
Fucking A, I thought I was,
I did too.
I thought I was there, dude. Fuck.
I had him cranked right
I
up.
was in his studio.
Well, there you go. I'm turning your music off, but then you don't get the cue, so then you
No, I
don't
need
know
all
when
the
I'm.
cues. I need to know everything.
then you
It
don't
just doesn't
know
have
when,
to be that loud. It doesn't have to
I know.
be.
I'm gonna turn you actually like low mode
Yeah, I like.
all the time. Low mode. All right. Yeah, that was Nate Cole, and just reaching out anybody
that was
out there.
original song
Yeah, he like just wrote that for
you.
for everybody. You know,
Oh, he wrote it for everybody.
he wrote it for everybody. But
didn't
yeah, I
know.
thought it'd be a good time.
I didn't know if he left that on your voicemail or.
Yeah, man. I was he helped me just recently when we did that Shaka recording on the 15th of March, which is the last time we've all gotten together to practice. And but I was just really excited and happy about where we had got with our recording and how like ready we were for bands. And little bit of a bummer that all of a sudden, we're not able to do it.
Right.
Huge bummer. But we'll get to it. In the meantime, we're just gonna keep this thing going.
We'll get to it in about 4 years when we get out of this.
We're just trying to pave the way for whatever's next. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, and just a message out there to everyone is that we are all in this together, and right now everything's still kind of jokey, happy. I think we're still kind of going through a denial phase, and we're all curious to see where this thing's gonna end up. And I wish there was like more I could do to help or something, but I just don't really know what there is, what can be done. Especially when I don't know if I'm a contaminated individual. If I got it. You know what I'm saying?
You might, huh?
Well, I doubt it, but
I hope not.
But when they're talking 60%, that's, it's
60.
not 1 out of 2. That's less than 1 out of 2. So if you got 2 people, then one of them.
Yeah, well, they don't usually do 2. They go with 4 people. And then 60% of 4 people.
Okay, fine. What's that anyway? 60 of 4.
2 people and then like 1 lake. Right?
2 people in 1 lake?
1 lake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's how you would do that.
Nice. There we go. We got
60
some listeners out there.
Really?
How's everybody doing? Anybody wants to write in, tell us where you're calling from, where you're listening from.
Yeah,
and
give us a
poem. If you do want to give us a call, we'd be happy to take it.
Or ask us a question online too.
Any questions you got? Anything, man.
Any.
Shoot. We'll do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like these numbers. Like I said, I have a feeling, even based on that COVID act now, it's like they're either way out of the ballpark, or if they're close, then the numbers are going to need to be in the multi-millions in the United States before, before we clear out of this. So at that point, I just don't really, like, as more people get sick and then the people that are questioning whether or not they want to get their loved ones sick, so they have to make choices. I mean, even for the Amazon, or even for the food, or however things are keeping going. Like, I have a kind of question about the restaurants, and that is, like, are they still taking orders now? Is it, like, in a way, is it really same as it ever was?
Same as it ever was.
Because, when this first happened and they were shut down, everybody was worried about, wasting all the product that they've already purchased.
Right.
So then my question is, now that we're into it this many days, are people, are these businesses purchasing another round of food?
Oh, yeah. Pizza, at least. Pizza places, for sure, man.
Right. So
you know damn well they're
so it just seems to me like how much, like total minimal. So then all of a sudden it becomes like, I just don't get it, man. How can you shut down just like certain things, but then,
well,
how is so much essential?
Well, food is essential, but you can't let people come and eat at your place, because then, I guess if you could talk them into doing where you come and you're 6 feet apart, that's just, somebody's got to wait on you and all that. So it's a lot easier to just come and get it, or pick it up at the curb.
I got you.
Because people still want to eat out. They want to spend money that they're not.
Yeah, but for how long? How long is that going to last before? Me personally,
think about it though. A pizza place, a lot of people, a lot of people just come and grab it. You know what I mean?
Right.
For sure. Like,
so pizza is going to be huge, but and it's
always,
already
always
inexpensive.
Like, especially down in the city, those cities, they don't have rent's so expensive. They don't have a big place for you to come down and sit, whatever, and have dinner. It's a lot of pickup down there.
Yeah.
So it's basically business as usual. They're probably not doing slices. You know what I mean? You probably can't walk in off the street and get a slice. Or then again, maybe you can. I haven't been down to check it out, but I know they got to be still selling pizzas left and right. But then it comes into what about these people that eat out all the time that aren't essential and can't work? Where's their money coming from? You know what I mean? Like, that's another factor. These people that make all kinds of money but don't have an essential job, where are they getting money to buy food to eat out? So there's that too. So
if they're making a bunch of money, then they got money to eat out, I guess.
But you don't, though. I'm saying if you're
51,
you're not essential, you can't go buy food if you're not working, really.
Right.
After a point. I mean, you might for a while and think it's not going to end, but if you're...
So then at that point, it's just, you just all of a sudden are like, wow, suddenly I'm on the homeless line. Or suddenly I'm just waiting
that's
for
what they
next...
said. Those food line numbers have been way up, man. Way up.
That's just awful because, I mean... Yeah.
But it's a double-edged sword type deal, because if you let everybody go to work, then the cases are going to go up. If you do this, it's going to not. So,
well, we've already passed all that where it's just like, we're just like, okay, let's like what's going to happen? Let's do this. Fucking sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's life, man.
I guess so.
Can't all be fucking...
Can't have it all normal seasons.
Can't all be tacos, man. Sprinkles and strippers and what have you. Ice cream and sprinkles. I'm not really an ice cream guy.
Yeah, man. If you look at that U.S. map, the way we were saying, where it's like war invasion and these little red dots represented like, you know, takeover. I mean, this is like straight out of a movie. You know what I mean? They like tick, 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 tick. All of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, this was this date. And then 3 months later is when the triggered event that really causes it.
Right.
Some bitch. What can you do? So, should we, what do we got?
We got nothing for you.
I know, that's it. You wanna call this? You wanna call
Sure. We'll call it.
We can call it today because you know, we had a late start, it looks like. And then you know?
Oh yeah.
Get some other issues for tomorrow.
Yeah, we got a lot.
See what's going on.
Plenty
But
of shit going on.
hey, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Anybody you know, give us a comment, give us a like.
Or
and
not.
Please subscribe if you can. It just would help what we're trying to do, which is just grow our page, so that we're in place. You know, when all this stuff clears, to bring bands back in and continue like a full day radio show. So anybody that's interested in doing their own radio show, we're working towards that as well. But we can tap you in here and make you part of the Sonic Gardens network. You know, it's stuff that aligns with what we're into. Know what I'm saying? All right, so
and you'll never be back.
and you'll never. Is that one where they kill it? Yeah.
The wind of God.
That's so
on
funny.
you. On you. You are destroyed forever. And you'll never be back.
He just saved us all, man.
He did?
That guy did.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, man, those guys are everywhere though. They're
Lord.
like right now is their like reaping time for
Yeah, but
sure.
they're still having churches and stuff, or ceremonies. Church. They're trying to, at least.
Right.
Some of them states are letting them. They're trying to get as many people as they can infected. Infection.
Infection.
All right.
Um,
Until tomorrow.
What am I gonna do here? I'm gonna try and pull up a tune.
He's a tune puller upper.
Let's see what I got. Dude, I'm pulling up this song again because this is always a sweet one.
What, the one they kicked us off for?
A huge shout out to a brother lost in arms yesterday, battling cancer. Just want to send as much love as possible to the family and everybody else. Man, awful times.
Uh-oh.
Looks like we do have a call in here.
Yeah,
Maybe we
hang
won't
up
cut
on
this thing quite yet.
Hang up on him. That's what we do. Megan Neads Show.
You're live on the mAng and Neads Show. What's up? Hey, Jamie, what's up, buddy? No, we're just finishing up right now.
We're right on.
All right, cool. Yeah,
yeah.
we don't ever know. We don't really know who's listening and who's tuning in, but we're trying to do it every day around 3 o'clock. Yeah. That's what I figured too. I got like I just looked for a little tips on keeping things regular and kind of keeping the content going. So it's been climbing.
We're doing it.
Yeah, or even Saturday we're going to start a little later.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank
man.
you.
Nice. So you holding up all right? Yeah, we're hanging in, Yeah. One day at a time. We'll see what happens. All right, we will. We're gonna do our best. As long as we got this internet and electricity, we're gonna be here.
Power.
All right, love you too. Take care, bud.
Later, man. Oh yeah.
So
Mang
yeah,
Neads
my
Show.
cousin James, killing it.
Oh yeah.
It's good stuff, man. So good to see people are out there listening to our little show here.
Oh yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna give you guys Jesse Tressler band
Oh
Angels.
boy.
Sonic Gardens Radio.
She tweaks with
Thanks
angels.
for tuning in, and we appreciate everybody out there.
Thanks for having us. Megan Neads Show.
I was bathing in the clouds. You thought I'd never come back down. I thought I heard you in my dream. But it could have been angels on their way. Could have been angels on their way. Could have been angels on their way. singing a song when time was young. I heard music in my dream. The sound of trumpets on the wind. The sound of trumpets on the wind. Sound of trumpets on the wind.
Brother.